Ladies and gentlemen, let me invite Dr. Rajeswaran is the fellow said, which is the global body for display professionals. And I think we would like to hear from him on what is the display supply chain enablers, opportunities, traps. And over to you. Your slides are there? Yeah. You can just use the clicker.
Can you hear me? Okay. So let me take you through a little background on Society for Information Display, which I represent here, and also my experiences with the display industry over the last 25 years. So Society for Information Display, of which some of us are part of, we're pleased to say that yesterday we signed a memorandum of understanding with IESA to promote display industry in India. So I was a past director of, on the board of directors of SID for 7-8 years. I was a past director of SID India chapter, and now Professor Deepak Gupta is the chapter director for SID India. And we bring a lot of experience in this technology. So I just want to explain to you what Society of Information Display, who we are. The display industry is greater than $100 billion in size, just the displays. Currently it's split between OLEDs have risen to about $15 to $20 billion industry from a start about 15 years ago. The rest is mostly LCD displays. So it's a very large industry to participate in, and that includes not only the panels, but also the designs and the electronics and several associated systems. SID is the only international organization that has been promoting, mainly by display professionals, and focused on advancing display science, technology, and business. We have currently 17 chapters in 17 countries, including India, and more than 5,000 members. It's headquartered in Silicon Valley, and it's all volunteer organization. It's 54 years ago that it was started at the UCLA campus, and it's gone from the time of CRT displays to plasma to LCD to OLEDs and all the supporting products that came along with these enabling displays. So what do we do? SID is an organization just like ESA. Its purpose is to facilitate the exchange of display technology information and business information. So we publish technical journals as well as monthly information display magazine and publish books. So we have a website where you can look at Society for Information Display, and you'll see what various things that goes on at SID are. We arrange a lot of international conferences. The main one is called the Display Week, which is 1 week long and showcases every imaginable display technology that might become a product in a couple of years. So it's all the emerging display technologies are showcased. The flagship event for SID is the Display Week. It's going to be held in Los Angeles in May. And then we have regional workshops in Japan, Korea, Germany, Europe. When I say Germany, mainly it's held in some part of Europe. Display optics, vehicular displays, regional conferences in Taiwan, China, Brazil, and we hope to kick off with some conferences in India in collaboration with ESA very shortly. So locally, we host chapter meetings with topical speakers, webinars, bring together leading display experts and companies, and provides a venue for the latest display products, like in the Display Week. For opportunity for India that we see, it's a great market. We've been talking about it. Professor Deepak Gupta and I have been involved in trying to create an India chapter for about India activity for about 10 years. Since the time CRT display was declining and flat panel transition was occurring, I think this is the right time. This is the right time to get going with all these high performance displays that were not available 10 years ago. So we want to leverage the SID platform for industry-relevant training, uh, webinars, conferences, and so on, and to build an ecosystem that in combination with the capabilities of this organization, ESA, we think we can bring a lot of value to the table for many of your constituents. So I want to interact with leading display experts around we can bring together experts from around the world. Many of them are in Asia, almost in the same time zone. We can interact and grow this activity more. So that's kind of who we are, SID. Personally, I started it was my pleasure in 1995 to be asked by my parent company, Eastman Kodak Company, which I worked for 22 years, to take a curiosity from the laboratory called OLEDs and take it to the market. So I spent about 12 years on AMOLED, make the first AMOLED display, taking it to the market, spent a lot of time in Japan and then in Korea and Taiwan and China, getting the displays into the hands of Samsungs and LGs, and that's where the dominant technology is. And there's a lot of challenges that YT earlier mentioned, but then it has gone from a zero industry to a $15 billion industry in about 12 years. That required a lot of innovation. And your question was, Ashwini, you were asking what are the supply chain, Yeah, supply chain enablement. In order to make an OLED display as an example, into the market and a viable technology, as plasma was dying off and LCD was ascending, at the time I entered the market, the glass size was not Gen 10 with 3 meters by 3 meters kind of glass. It was Gen 2, and that was late 1990s. Gen 2 fabs, India can get into any time because the cost structure, the cost of entry is very low. But then this scaling up and bringing the prices down through economies of scale have made the cost of entry much larger. But the good news is India has a very large consumption of displays. Many display-centric gadgets are being sold. The market is here. The talent is here. But we need the first mover, a fab, where you can construct all this. And the market exists. They'll take whatever you make. And probably Indian market requires a lot more fabs. So the supply chain comes along with the manufacturing fabs and all the goods and services delivered to a supply chain, to the fab. Materials, photoresist, whether it is LCD or OLED, all the components. It's somebody mentioned earlier on that a smartphone, I think the speaker from IBM, the smartphone supply chain, shipping components around the world cost more in the cost of goods sold than anything else. I tell you, the display is about 15 to 20% of the cost. That's the second biggest item other than shipping and transportation. This is a good area for people to get in. And I can speak from experience, because when I got into the display business, CRT was dying, plasma was high, and LCD was just scaling up. But I had to enter a technology with a new technology, a curiosity, called organic LED displays, and to make it an industry. It was done from scratch with no fab, nothing. Over the period of time, I owned about 2 or 3 fabs in my organization at Kodak, and was able to convert the amorphous silicon and combine that, make that into low temperature polysilicon to make those mobile displays. Developed all the RGB patterning technology and the associated materials, invented the OLED technology for white OLED, and these are the 2 technologies currently in use by Samsung and LG, and a lot of investments going on in China. So it is, as we bring fabs into India, as Ashwini pointed out, the supply chain, many players must participate, and all those will have to participate, and they'll find value, a profitable value, in trying to make a component that's either completely integrated like a OLED display, or assembled like a LCD display from many components. The value is there, the number of pixels are going up, there is a lot of data to be fed into these displays. That requires the talent of this organization. Design. How do you be a traffic cop and manage all this data to go to particular pixels and create this window to the universe? Is that what he said? Yeah, this window to the universe is the visualization of all the data that we talked about earlier in the morning. As data accumulates, all the data needs to be managed and sent to particular gadgets, and it requires electronics, time multiplexing of the information. If you need light field displays with multiple fields, amount of data that need to be sent is very large. So we need a lot of integration. All of that requires that the component of electronics in a display, in a smartphone or a TV, becomes a larger value next to the display itself. So the design, the integrated circuits that do these functions, do the image processing, all that need to be developed. And I hope our association with ISA will make that possible and use all the talent that India has in not only in software but also in VLSI design, come together to process images, data-intensive images, and deliver it to advanced displays. I want to stop and maybe you can answer through the discussions, but that kind of addresses the need for a fab, kind of an anchor engine that drives the business, and it brings along the ecosystem to contribute to the manufacturing base, and all the electronics and other industry associated with that to bring data to show on the display they are co-engineered.